What's up, guys? It's Mike Dussault, Paul Perillo, Patriots.com, back today. We had another OTA session, got a chance to watch the Patriots for a couple hours. And Paul, plenty to see today, not training camp, but still some interesting drills. And, one thing that really stood out to me was just the energy of the defense. They were loud. They were getting after it. It seemed like they were having a lot of fun out there.
Yeah, I would totally agree. And it was an OTA setting, in shorts and whatnot. But really, the defense was jacked up. And they had a couple of additions in terms of veterans that we hadn't seen, Kyle Van Noy, Lawrence Guy, guys like that out there. But there was a lot of enthusiasm on that side of the ball. And I thought they really were swarming around the ball. They got the better of things. And, Bill always talks to us about cautioning against us doing just that, talking about evaluation. It's all about teaching at this point. But today, the guys that seem to get the most instruction and take the most from that instruction for the guys wearing blue shirts.
Yeah, and offensively, we know everybody's interested in the quarterback position. Seemed like they were rotating guys in and out. Everybody kind of, doing station drills. One thing that kind of stood out, looked like Cam Newton maybe banged his hand, had to sit out a little bit of practice, was an observer there for most of the last, 7-on-7, 11-on-11 drills.
Yeah, he was getting the normal reps that we saw last week when we had a chance to go out there on May 27th. And then all of a sudden, it did look like something must have happened with that hand. Maybe he hit it on a helmet or something. Didn't really take any reps after that. So they gave some opportunities to the other three guys. And I thought Jarrett Stidham in particular got more of those reps than Mac Jones or Brian Hoyer. Mostly the same stuff that we've been seeing, Mike. A lot of short throws, a lot of dumps. A lot of work with the screen passes and whatnot, the timing there. But unfortunate that Cam Newton wasn't able to take part in all those reps again.
Yeah, you mentioned that. And, at running back, we're seeing, J.J. Taylor, Tyler Gaffney, guys getting a lot of work. I mean, J.J. in his second year looked a little quick to me. He's catching a ton of balls right now.
Yeah, and this is why, Taylor was a guy I was kind of intrigued with in the offseason, at the beginning of the offseason, when all the uncertainty surrounding James White was around. And then you won't find a bigger James White fan than me. Both the person and the player, I really admire him a lot. But running backs, when they get to a certain age, sometimes it can end quickly. It can fall off quickly. And I thought J.J. Taylor had the skill set to perhaps fit into that type of role. Now, maybe the Patriots weren't quite comfortable enough with that to just hand it over to him. But I agree with you, Mike. I think he's gotten a lot of reps. Obviously, him and Gaffney have really been the only two running backs that are generally healthy enough to take part in all these things. They've both gotten a lot of reps. And I think Taylor in particular is taking advantage of it.
Yeah, a lot to watch there at the end. We mentioned 7-on-7, 11-on-11 drills. As we mentioned, the defense bringing a lot of energy. Anybody else that kind of stood out to you in those sessions there as they wrapped up, with some teamwork? Is that drills early, but we got into the teamwork late.
Yeah, for me, it's still Hunter Henry. I think has been involved in a lot of stuff. I think that's great to see. But most of the stuff that really stood out to me today was on the defensive side of the ball, and it was really everybody. I thought the secondary, you mentioned that they had a lot of different combinations out there. Regardless of the personnel, it seemed like a lot of those guys. Jalen Mills was one guy that stuck out. Maybe that's because he's wearing number 2. He was a little easier to stand out. But I thought defensively they had a lot of helmets around the football, no contact whatsoever. So take that with a grain of salt. It's a little bit more difficult, I think, for the offense to sort of keep the defense at bay when there's no contact there. But at the same time, you'd think the receivers would have an easier time getting open without really any physicality. So good day for the defense overall, I thought.
Well, that'll do it for us this week. We'll be back at it next week, another OTA session next Thursday. And then it's all leading up to mini camp. We'll have 3 days. It's mandatory. Everybody's supposed to be here. So I don't know if the drills will get any more interesting, Paul, but there'll be more to look at. 3 straight days. We'll get some other guys back. So I want to thank you guys.
Great. We have more things to overreact to. What could be better than that?
Well, hey, we're in the middle of June. We'll take what we can get. Training camp next month. So it's all going good. I want to thank you guys for joining us. We'll be back next week to fill you in on everything that we see happening at practice.